It's 3 a.m. Your baby is staring into a pitch black, empty corner of the room and laughing. Your blood runs cold. Are they seeing a ghost? What exactly is hovering in that dark void that you cannot see? Before you panic and put your house on the market, let me tell you the shocking scientific truth. Your baby isn't communicating with the paranormal. They are experiencing a chaotic neurological storm, and their eyes are detecting a microscopic physical world that your adult brain is literally incapable of processing. In our last video, we uncovered why a 3-year-old might have a full conversation with an empty wall. They are running complex cognitive simulations. But a 3-month-old infant is entirely different. They do not have the prefrontal cortex capacity to invent a fictional ghost. So, what are they actually staring at? To decode this creepy late-night mystery, we have to completely discard our adult perception of reality and dive into neonatal neurobiology. Let's start with the most common, and perhaps the strangest, scientific explanation. Let us say you look at the baby monitor at 2 a.m. and your baby is grinning from ear to ear, maybe even letting out a little chuckle. You assume they are awake and playing with an invisible friend. But neuroscientists have a completely different explanation. In the overwhelming majority of these late-night giggling episodes, your baby is not actually awake at all. They are caught in a neurological lightning storm called active sleep. Adults have highly structured, predictable sleep cycles. We spend about 20 to 25% of our night in REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, which is when we dream. The rest of the time, we drop into deep, restorative, motionless non-REM sleep. But an infant's brain is fundamentally different. A newborn spends a staggering 50 to 55% of their sleep in REM, and their REM sleep is chaotic, noisy, and highly physical. When an adult enters REM sleep, our brainstem releases a chemical cocktail that essentially paralyzes our major voluntary muscle groups. This is an evolutionary safety mechanism called rematonia, and it stops us from physically acting out our dreams and jumping out of a second-story window. Babies, however, have deeply immature nervous systems. Their brain stems have not yet mastered this chemical paralysis. Therefore, when their brain enters the highly active state of REM sleep, the electrical signals bypass the roadblock and shoot directly into their facial muscles and limbs. Pediatric neurologists call these endogenous smiles. They are not smiling because they are happy. They are not smiling because they see a funny ghost. They are smiling because the brainstem is literally firing the neural pathways connected to their facial muscles. Imagine a sound engineer flipping switches on a massive soundboard to make sure all the speakers work before a concert. That is exactly what your baby's brain is doing. In the middle of the night, it sends a random electrical surge to the zygomaticus major muscle in the cheek. And boom, your baby flashes a terrifyingly wide grin at the dark ceiling. Another surge hits the diaphragm and vocal cords, and a sudden, creepy giggle erupts. They are entirely asleep, locked in a crucial phase of brain wiring. But what if their eyes are wide open? What if you are standing right there, and you know for an absolute fact that they are awake, alert, and tracking something invisible across the wall? To solve this, we must look at the mechanical hardware of a newborn's eyes. When you look at an empty dark corner, your highly developed, mature visual system processes the scene perfectly. Your brain instantly categorizes it as blank wall, low light, nothing important, and you stop paying attention. Your baby cannot do this. For the first few months of life, an infant's visual acuity is incredibly poor, roughly estimated at 20/400. The world is a massive, blurry watercolor painting. Furthermore, their retinas are not fully developed. The human eye has 2 types of photoreceptor cells: cones, which process color and fine detail in bright light, and rods, which process shapes, shadows, and movement in low light. At birth, a baby's cones are very weak, meaning they see the world mostly in shades of gray, black, and white. But their rods are working overtime. Because they cannot see fine details or rich colors, their developing visual cortex becomes hyper-fixated on one specific thing: high contrast. They are biologically programmed to obsessively seek out sharp boundaries where light meets dark. Now, place this baby in a dimly lit nursery at 3 a.m. To you, it is just a dark room, but to a baby's contrast, craving brain, that room is an absolute masterpiece of visual stimulation. The sharp line where the edge of a curtain blocks the moonlight. Fascinating. The deep, dark shadow cast by the edge of the crib against a white wall? Exhilarating. The sharp, right-angle intersection where the ceiling meets the corner of the wall. It is the most interesting thing they have ever seen in their short lives. When your baby locks eyes on that empty corner and starts cooing, they are not communicating with a spirit. They have found a high-contrast geometric edge, and their visual cortex is firing off massive amounts of dopamine as it struggles to calculate depth, shadow, and boundary. They are literally cheering for geometry. But there is a third layer to this mystery, and it is perhaps the most mind-bending of all. It involves a groundbreaking theory in cognitive science, championed by researchers like Dr. Alison Gopnik at UC Berkeley. It is the concept of the perceptual filter, or rather, the lack of one. As adults, we consider ourselves to be highly aware of our surroundings. But the truth is, your adult brain is a ruthless, highly efficient deletion machine. At any given second, your senses are bombarded by millions of bits of data. The hum of the refrigerator, the feeling of the socks on your feet, the exact texture of the wallpaper, the tiny dust particles floating in the beam of a street lamp. If your brain processed all of this information simultaneously, you would go instantly insane. You would never be able to focus, work, or drive a car. To survive, the adult brain evolved a powerful inhibitory filter in the prefrontal cortex. It operates like a tight, narrow spotlight. We shine the spotlight only on what is strictly necessary for our immediate survival and goals, and we plunge everything else into total darkness. We delete the irrelevant data before we even consciously register it. Your infant does not have this filter. Their prefrontal cortex is completely undeveloped. They do not have a spotlight consciousness. They have what scientists call a lantern consciousness. Their awareness radiates outwards in 360 degrees, taking in absolutely every single piece of sensory data with equal importance. They are operating in a state of permanent, wide-open, unfiltered hyper-awareness. So, let us return to that 3 a.m. dark corner. Your adult brain looks there, sees no threats, no food, and no tasks to complete, and instantly deletes the corner from your conscious awareness. It is empty, but your baby's lantern consciousness sees everything you just deleted. They see the microscopic dust motes swirling in the faint draft of the air conditioning. They see the microscopic variations in the texture of the drywall. They see the tiny, almost imperceptible shifting of shadows as headlights from a car miles away pass briefly through the window blinds. To a brain that has never seen the world before, a floating speck of dust catching a stray photon of light is just as spectacular, just as worthy of a smile and a laugh as a giant fireworks display. They are entirely captivated by the microscopic theater of the physical world that we, as cynical, efficient adults, became blind to decades ago. When you put all of this together, the random neurological test firing of REM sleep, the absolute obsession with high-contrast shadows, and an unfiltered lantern consciousness that sees every speck of dust as a miracle, the creepy 3 a.m. baby stare suddenly stops being a horror movie. It becomes a beautiful, raw display of human biology. Your baby is not haunted. They are just incredibly, deeply busy. They are mapping the geometry of light and shadow. They are exercising the delicate muscles of their face. They are taking in a universe of tiny, floating miracles that your adult brain is too tired and too efficient to notice anymore. They are doing exactly what millions of years of human evolution designed them to do, soaking in the raw data of the universe, pixel by pixel, shadow by shadow, to build the magnificent supercomputer that will become their adult mind. If I just saved you from packing your bags and calling a paranormal investigator, do me a huge favor and hit that like button right now. It is the absolute best way to support the channel and push this hardcore science to other exhausted, terrified parents who desperately need some peace of mind. And before you go, I need to know, what is the absolute creepiest or weirdest thing your baby has ever done in the middle of the night? Drop it in the comments below. Let's share our stories and prove to each other that we aren't going crazy. If you love using real science to solve parenting mysteries, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Because the next time your child does something completely inexplicable, we will be here to decode it. So, the next time you walk into that dark nursery in the dead of night and you see your baby gazing into the dark abyss and laughing, do not feel a chill of fear. Feel a sense of awe. Lean in, look at that same dark corner, and realize that your baby is experiencing a world of pure, unfiltered magic that you can only begin to imagine. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.